Welcome race fans. This is Ron with Bigg Wizurd TV, and we are going to do a little painting today. Today we're going to paint the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo from 2020, and I've got an idea of what I want this to look like, so I'm going to go through it step by step right from scratch with you, and we'll start with that. I use GIMP, free software to download and use, and I'll show you how I set that up. And we'll go into it. So let's get going. Here's the iRacing car. This already does have a little bit of a paint job on it. I took most of the decals off, but it's still sitting here, as is from my iRacing account. So if I want to paint this car, I need to get a paint template. So you do that by going Paint Car. And it looks like I need to turn that off. Let's exit Discord so I don't get more pop-ups. You go to Paint Car, and right here in the corner there is a thing called Download Template. So it's going to download that file for you into a zip file into your Downloads folder. From there you take your PSD file and you can extract it out of the zip, or you can just copy it. I'm going to copy mine to my Dropbox. iRacing, I have a folder called Vehicles. Organization is the key. Organize your stuff so you can find it. That's the best way to do it. Ferrari GT3 Evo. I'm going to drop it right in here. Paste. It's already there, so we'll go ahead and replace it anyway. But that file is this PSD file. That's what you get from iRacing, is a Photoshop file. Now, if you're using Photoshop, it's going to open it up with everything all layered out and everything in it. We're going to use GIMP, so it does the same thing after a conversion. It gets most of it. It does a really good job, and you can work from there. So let's go. I've got an idea of what I want to do, so I'm going to show you exactly how we do this. So I've downloaded my paint file, and now I need to know one other thing. If I haven't painted before, I need to know one other thing, and that is my account number from iRacing. That's how this shows up. You have to name your car in a way that the car will show up for you in here in iRacing. So to get that number, you go back out to your main screen of iRacing. You click on your helmet. You go to your profile. This is just regular old iRacing the UI screen. Go to profile, and right up here you're going to see your number. This is my number, 481464. It's not your number, it's my number. Go to your computer, pull up your iRacing account, pull up your member profile, customer ID, and that number is the number you need, and I'll show you where you're going to use that in a minute. So write it down, note it, 481464, memorize it, whatever you got to do. So that's all we need from iRacing for now. As we paint, we're going to preview the car in here. So if you pull it up and look at car model, we can leave this open and we can look at it as we go. But that's it for iRacing for a little bit. Let's go to GIMP. This is GIMP. Great little program. It's free download. You can donate to them to help the cause. It is open source. Very well used. It's not Photoshop. It's a bitmap emulator, a bitmap paint program. It is not Photoshop. Photoshop can use vectors and all these other different kinds of graphics that are much cleaner and more professional. This is all you need for making cars in iRacing, but you can use the other. It works great. So first we got to open that file. So file, open. We got to go find it. It's in my documents, or in my Dropbox folder. So I go to Dropbox, iRacing, Vehicles, Ferrari, where I put it. I need the PSD file right there. Hit open. It's going to ask you to convert the file. You hit convert, and there's your Ferrari. Doesn't look like much, but there it is. A couple things I do just to get started that'll help you, or it helps me. How I lay out GIMP. First of all, I go to Edit, Preferences, and I go to my tool icon theme right here, and I make the custom icon size. I don't let it pick for me. What this does is it changes, you'll see it changes the icons up here on the left to a size you can get them. Usually it'll do this, and I don't like that. So I put them at medium so I can grab them, find them, see them. The other thing I do is Tool options. Maybe not. I always got to find this one. Use tool groups right here. It's under toolbox, interface toolbox. Use tool groups. See, it groups them all into little groups. I hate that personally. So I turn it off. I have that one, and I have my icons. Icon size. So I go icon theme and toolbox, the two things I change in the preferences. Makes it work for me. The other thing I do is under select, I go to selection editor. And then it opens the selection editor over here. We'll use this a few times on the top right. I'll show you what that is. The next thing we need to know is layers. Layers are down here. These are all your layers. Layers are nested. And just remember that everything that's above something else that's visible will show up. Okay, so if I put something above something else, like if I were to move base up above car decals, then the only thing you'll see is the base. That's a layer. So I covered up all those other layers so you can't see them. So that's why the base is at the bottom. Makes sense, right? You can nest these plus minus signs here. Open them up, get to other things. We'll get into most of those areas as we go. But this basically is our workspace. This is all we need. I go to view and I go to zoom and I fit image in Windows so I get it as big as possible because I'm blind. You can adjust your sidebars if you want and make them bigger, smaller, depending on what you're doing. I like using the tool options down here. So when you pick on something, it gives you options for that particular tool. All right, let's get some layers. Let's organize and then get some layers. First of all, I organize things so I can find them, turn them on, turn them off, see them, not see them. And the first thing I do is make a couple of groups. Down here are very important buttons. I use almost every one of these. There's new layer, new group of layers, move something up or down, duplicate, push them together, make them all into one. Never use that one. And there's your delete. So I use most of those quite often. Okay, so in paintable area, I'm going to make a new group. And just so I can turn things on and off easy, I'm going to call this pre-made. You come up with your own organization, that's great. But I'm going to stick all the things that iRacing made for me into this thing called pre-made. Okay, and I'm also going to grab one of these turn off before called car mandatory. And I'm going to also put that in pre-made. So now all these things in the pre-made, and what that lets me do is turn them off. So now all the pre-mades are off, and all I'm dealing with is the paint of the car. Now I'm at the base layer. Again, base, pre-made is above it, so everything above it is going to show up on the screen when I turn it on because it's above it on this list. Okay, down to paints. These are the patterns that iRacing gives you, and these are the ones I use. This is how I paint. I'm not a painter. I'm not master painter. I can't sit there and draw all these really cool stripes and lines that have them magically appear on the car. So I'm going to let iRacing do it for me. This is obviously a solid red car. Here's some little accents, green roof. Don't worry about the colors. They're all green, red, and blue. That's on purpose. That is when you work with colors, that is full, or full. That's blue, red, green. Those are the RGB. This is an RGB emulator or art program. So we're going to use those three colors, and that's how iRacing gives them to you. You can pick them out easily. You can change the colors. You can do whatever you want, and that is what we're going to do. But don't worry about what it looks like right now. So you're basically looking for a car pattern that looks good. So, getting better. For this application, that one might work really well. So I'm going to remember number 3. And number 4. That one looks pretty cool. Number 5, that's actually an IMSA paint from GT3. Number 6, 7. So you just go through and find one that you like. I don't do well with fades. I've been playing with them some, but paints that fade aren't really that easy to paint. No, you kind of have to envision what the car is going to look like. If you find one you like say you like this paint scheme, or you like the way that looks and you want to see what it looks like on the car, you can put it on the car and then you can pull it up over on iRacing over here and see what it looks like. So let's do that. So what we need to do is we need to export this to a certain location on your computer. That location is, wow, that was really big. That location is C, Documents. It's in your Documents folder under iRacing, Paint. And then there's going to be a folder for each car. Okay, so under your Documents folder, iRacing, Paint, and then find your car. And it doesn't say car, it says what it is. Ferrari Evo 2020. So let's go find it. Let's go find that location. We'll go to my Documents folder, iRacing, Paint. See, here it is, Documents, iRacing, Paint, and here's all the cars. And we got a Ferrari Evo GT3. And there's that file that you need to create. You see how it's got my number in it that I told you to look up earlier? Car underscore, and then your number. Mine's 481464. Yours will be different. So now we're going to make a copy of this file. If I were to delete this file, and then we go back to iRacing, my paint job's gone. Because now it's on the default, whatever I made the paint car picture is one of these down here. I can pick whatever one of these I want, and it'll make it that car. And I hit save. Yeah, it's going to take a minute to circle. I don't need to care. I don't really care. But then it'll change the car to whatever that is. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overwrite that. I'm going to make my own and tell iRacing I want to make my own. Okay? Back to GIMP. File. Export as. We're going to export a file. We need to pick it by file type down here at the bottom. And you need to tell it you're going to do a TGA file or a Targa file. That's what iRacing will read. I'm already in iRacing. I'm in the wrong place. See that? I was in iRacing Vehicles and I'm in my own. That's in Dropbox. So I need to tell it where to go. So I'm going to go Documents, iRacing, Paint, and then find the Ferrari. Now I need to change the name of the file so iRacing knows what I want to do. Because when you're in a race, it's you and everybody else's car out there. So this is how it identifies your car. 481464 is my number. So car underscore your number dot TGA is what you need to export it as in the correct folder. Export. And now our car is going to look like this. There it is. I've got all the little boxes around the numbers turned off because I turned off all the pre-mades, remember? All I'm looking at is the base paint. And iRacing's going to throw on some things you can't control. Things like the tires and the lettering on the tires and the numbers and this little box here in the window. You can't see that on your application. But you're like, hey, I like this. I like the way this looks. And then you work with that and pick the colors you want and make it the car you want. So let's pick the one I wanted, which I think for this application is going to be this one. Pretty plain, pretty simple, but that's what I'm after. So first I want to export it. You don't have to type it in every time. You can now, if it has export car and your number in there, just hit it. It'll do it all by itself. You don't have to hit yes or go or anything. And you can see that it switched it to the other car, to the other paint. So now we have our base paint selected. Now we need to pick our colors. You pick colors by hex numbers, or you can just kind of poke at them if you don't really care what they are. This one is a specific job that I'm doing for a specific purpose. So what I want is Fallout 4 paint hex codes. And maybe they don't know it by paint, maybe they know it by colors. So we're looking for hex codes that have something to do with Fallout 4. So here's a thing, I found a website, and this is random, we just find this stuff. Here's a website that says Fallout 4 color palette. So we go here and it says these are the colors that people use for Fallout, that the game Fallout 4 uses. And you can see the blues and but there's not a lot of yellows in there, so I don't really like that one. I'm pretty sure they use a pale yellow, which was in here. This looks like a little bit better. Fallout Vault Boy. So I like this one better. It doesn't tell me what they are, which isn't my favorite. There we go. Now I got what I need. So here's my colors, right? I got a blue. I got a couple blues, a darker and a lighter. I got that nice yellow that they use, and then some other colors I can use for accents. But should work pretty good. We've got our colors. We've also got a really cool ad down here. But we should have what we need. All right. I think I'm going to go with the steel blue and this icterine to start, and then we'll have to figure out what we're going to use for an accent, if we use an accent, or I might use black. So here's our colors. There's a hex number for blue, and there's our hex number for icterine. Get to the car. Here we go. Highlight the car pattern you need that you're working with, because we're going to pick paint out of this pattern. The background we don't need to pick. We can just make it the background. But what we need to pick are these two other colors, the green and the blue. So highlight the colors, highlight the car, go to a selection tool. I'm going to grab everything that's a certain color, so I'm going to select by color. Put my threshold up pretty good because I want it kind of to fill the edges. I don't want the little edges to not be picked. That'll leave holes in my paint. So threshold up around 100 to 125, somewhere in there. And then you have to pick here, and you have to make sure you're selecting colors. This is select one color only. This is add to whatever I've selected. This is take away from my selection. So you're not going to take away, you don't have a selection yet. That's why you've got that little circle with a cross through it. So you can't do that. But if we add colors, now we can. So let's pick the blue. And as you see, this is why I really like the selection tool up here in the top. It tells you exactly what you've picked. Let me do it another way. Select none. Let me do it another way. It'll show you why I do that. If you crank this way up here and pick that blue, it's going to pick all kinds of stuff. You see how it doesn't know what to pick. So it's got a little bit of blue-ish in everything. So it's going to grab it all. You don't want all that. Select none. You bring your threshold back down around 100-ish. Pick it again. You get just the lines you want, and you can verify that you have it. Okay, so that's what I wanted. Now I need to put this on the car in a different color. Now that I have it selected, I'm going to go back up here to my paintable area. I'm going to make a new group. I'm going to call it base paints. These are my painted areas. I'm going to move it down below pre-mades because I want my stickers to be above the paint. And I'm going to make a new layer inside the folder. So you're down to new layer. You call it stripe 1. Okay. And you can see it now. It's a layer inside the group. And this one I'm going to make black. So now the paint on that layer is black. Select none. Make sure you're constantly turning off your select tool. If you turn it off too soon, you can always go back, edit, undo, and you can reselect everything. But if you've got a selection, if it starts doing really screwy things to you, and you're trying to put something on the car and it's just not working at all, make sure you have select none before you're trying to do something, because it will only work in the area and on the layer you're selected on. I can't pick these colors out of this layer. It won't let me. If I were to go to this layer, and even though I'm looking at this layer, but I'm on this layer selected, and I'm going to try to pick out a color, yeah, see how that just doesn't fit? Because that's this layer's paint, not the layer I'm on. Select none. It's also a good way to make multi-layer cars from two different patterns. It's kind of cool sometimes. All right, so now we need the green. We're going to select tool. We've got our threshold good. We're going to pick the green. Make sure we just get the green. Sometimes you'll get a little extra underneath the mask. Don't worry about that. They won't show anyway. So I got my green. I'm going to back up to base paints. And we'll call this one a new layer. We'll call it center stripe. Okay. And this one, we're going to use one of our new colors. So let's go find them. this one I want to use, do I want blue on the stripe and yellow on the car? Blue's primary color in the game, so let's go yellow on the stripe. So FEF265. We're going to pick this color by typing it in right here. Hit OK. And it picked that color for us. Now we can fill this in. Make sure we're on the center stripe. Don't paint on the pattern or you'll lose the original pattern. Center stripe, highlighted, fill it. So now we got those in there. Select none. One more layer under base paints called base 1. Put it at the bottom. Let's go pick our other color. Let's use this one, this blue steel, 447AB9. Go back up here, pick the color, type it in, hit OK, and pick anywhere on the paint that's not yellow and black. Okay, so now we have Fallout paint on the car. It's really that easy. File, export to the same car number we already have. If it's not in there, type it in. And there's our car. Pretty simple, right? Now, if we were done, all we'd have to do at this point is load the paint up to Trading Paints, which is super easy to do. Let me show you how to do that. And you do have to learn how to spell or use a keyboard to use a computer. Sooner or later, I'll learn that. You'd think I'd know it by now. I've been using computers for multiple decades. Okay, so you go to My Paints, right? What am I racing? Comes up with your list. You pick the car. You go down to your car, Ferrari Evo to 2020. It gives me the old paint job I had on there before. So I'm going to go Paint, choose New Paint, upload a paint. I might buy that pretty quick. Paint Options, choose New Paint, upload a paint. Select your file from your computer. It's got to be a TGA. Because I did this just recently for my Porsche GT4 car. Go to Paint. Find your Ferrari. This is your computer. This PC, that's your Documents folder, iRacing Paint. So wherever we just put it, it's still sitting there. There's the paint. That's the car. That's the paint job.tga. Hit Open. It'll pull it up into here. Hit Got It. Wait for it to refresh. Make sure you got the right one. And there you go. There's your blue and yellow car. Already on Trading Paints. So now you go to a race, and that's what everybody's going to see for your Ferrari. All right. I'm guessing you want more than this on your car, so let's do more. At this point, I make another layer. I make another layer group. Under Paintable Area, I make another group right here. Create New Layer Group, which is basically a folder. And I'm going to call this one Decals. You can call it stickers. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I don't care. The point of this is to put something out there that you'll be able to find and you'll be able to see. And this makes it easy to turn things on and off because they're in little groups. It's a lot easier than having 500 different layers to try to search through. I use the groups. You can do it any way you want. All right. So at this point, I can either turn on or off the base paints. I can turn on or off the car patterns. You can turn all these things on or off and make it so you can actually work with it. One of the things you have to note with GIMP and with iRacing and painting cars, there is a thing called a mask. Everything you see on the screen here that's in this gray color, that is the mask. This is done by iRacing. We don't have to do it. It's part of this little area that's red. You shouldn't ever have to work in here. But if you turn off the mask, it will turn off that template so you can't really see where things are. It does have a wire so you can kind of tell where things are going to overlap. This is helpful when you're trying to see where your door handles are, where center is and things like that. You get the wire. But the mask is what helps you really a lot. But I turn on and off the wire at times to help me locate things on the car a little better. Because this is kind of plain, right? But this gives you more detail of what's on the car. And if you look at, here's your side louvers. There's a little indentation where the side louvers end right here. curves of the front fender coming around on the front nose piece here. How big the wing is. The wing isn't the entire blue area, it's just inside these lines. So if you want to stick some decals on the back wing. Mirrors, or maybe these are the mirrors. I'll show you how to find those too if you want to stick around and wait. But basically at this point, you've painted a car, you got it out on iRacing, you're good to go. You can stop here. If you want to watch a little more, we're going to get into putting some decals on. So, pre-mades are still off. We'll turn those on so we can kind of see where those are. If you want to change anything on the pre-mades, you have to do it above that layer, right? You have to do it above where it is. So if I wanted to block out something on the screen, I could do that. I could actually set that up and make that work. But I have to do it up here in this upper layer. My decal layer is below it. So anything I put in my decals is going to show up underneath the pre-mades. Let's find a logo. I haven't found this one before, so we're going to find a Nuka Cola. We'll find a Nuka Cola clip art logo. Let's see what we can find. Images. Okay. Fallout 4. We can separate it by that. Look, there's a cap. There's the logo. Here's a bunch of cool logos. Somebody trying to make a transparent file that failed. These are typically not transparent files. They're files with the transparent type background on them. But it looks like this one looks really good from DeviantArt. It is transparent, so that's awesome. It's big. That's another benefit. So I'm going to use this one. Sometimes you can go to the web page and get a really nice version of it. Like you can actually download the full copy of it. So that's really good. Stuck it in my downloads. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it where I want it. Make sure I'm in Dropbox, iRacing, logos, and let's go to, we'll make a new folder called Fallout. I could do video games and add it to that. Go to Fallout. Paste it in here. Nuka Cola Vector logo. That's probably all we need. Make sure you don't lose the .png file extension. Some people make them show, some people don't. But there's the good PNG file we can use right there. So we got that. That's awesome. Let's see if there's anything more we can use. This looks pretty cool. And that's also a fairly good sized image. It's round, so it makes it easy to go on something. See that? This one here is great because you can paste it on, but you just get what you got. This one kind of has its own little image to it, right? It's the logo, but I don't like the way that it's kind of squeezed together here. This one's more of an original, has more space in it. But that one actually looks really cool. Looks like somebody out at DeviantArt was into Nuka Cola. But this one actually looks really good, so we'll download this one as well. Copy. Go over to our logos. And this is the part that takes the longest. You got to find what you're looking for. You got to make it work for you. You have to be able to find it when you need it. It's also Cola Vector. It's also very hard to do, right? I mean, your Cola script. Because now I'm gonna go back over to GIMP, and now I have to find those logos to put them on the car. Let's drop them on. We'll put the more square one on the hood, and we'll put the big long ones on the side. And I think that's going to be it for today. You can find more logos. You can go nuts. You can put team names. You can do all kinds of stuff on here. But I think that'll be good for this video. Just show you the basics. Let's go open as a layer now. We're going to open those PNG files as a layer. I'm going to show you one more thing after I do this because I think it's important. Logos. Where do we put it? Fallout. Let's do the script. We'll stick it on the door. Okay. As you can see, it's too big. So we go to our size tool right here, the scaling tool. Click on it. Whoa, reset that. Up here you see these little teeth. They need to be connected. That way your width and height stay to scale. Okay, that's a setting that stays. So if you set it now, it'll usually stick when you use it next time. I was doing something else earlier. So use the center handle to move it around, see if you can get it the right size. I want to start it about, probably right about there maybe. I might even get rid of the black line. I don't even think I need it. Bring it in. Yeah, now we got plenty of space. Once it's smaller, hit scale. I don't really like the color of that. I'm going to turn it to black just because the other accent on here is black. So we'll go to the layer. Oh wait, we can go to color. And I use hue chroma for about everything. You can do almost anything in here. You can change the color. As you can see, slide this up and down. And our Nuka-Cola goes from all different kinds of colors. I don't like any color in this particular range for this particular color combo. So I'm just going to go to lightness and take the light out of it, which makes it black. Problem with that is you cannot go back now and change it, but you can go get the file again, put it back in here as an upload or open as a layer and work it again. Because I was highlighted on my decals folder when I brought this decal in, it put it right in the decals folder. But if it put it up here somewhere, you can always just move it and put it down in decals. Okay, so now this is no longer that file name. This is Nuka driver's side. Okay, and I can even call it Nuka script driver's side. I do this so I can tell them apart. So organization is key when you're painting. We're going to go down here now. We're going to duplicate it. So now we're going to make a driver's side copy. This one isn't going to be on the driver's side. This one's going to be on the passenger side. So change the name. Make sure it's on top because you're going to grab the one that's on top. You see how here's your layer lesson. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move it. You see the one underneath stayed there. Hold down your control key and that is going to let you put it in exactly the same horizontal position, like right to left, front to back on the car. But it's upside down, so go to your rotation tool and spin it. You type in 180 because that's halfway around. Hit rotate. And now it's the same distance away from that marker. It might not be right on the line below it, so now you got to kind of eyeball that. You can measure it. I've had people go nuts and go crazy on making it exactly the same. I think it's a little bit too close, so I'm going to pull it just a little. If you want to move something just a tiny bit, you can use your keys once it's selected. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's on the keyboard. Just moves it very, very small amounts. They look pretty close now. So now you have Nuka-Cola script on the doors. Let's drop one more on the hood. Open as a layer. Nuka-Cola vector. Okay, it's really big. That's fine, no problem. First, we're going to rotate it. Only 90 degrees, not 104. And now I got to size it. Make sure it's in your area. See, I got it in between the doors. You can move it up. Call it Nuka-Cola hood or Nuka hood. It's going to go on the hood of the car. Grab your sizing scale tool. Click on it somewhere on the icon, on the logo that you can see. Make it smaller, bring it down. I'm going to show you here what we're going to do. We're going to even check this out. We're going to look at it as we get done. I'll show you how to find center. Although I think I'm pretty dang close, but I'm probably not right on it. Go back up here to this turn off before exporting. Turn on your wire. Zoom on in. Grab select your scale tool again and click on the logo. And you see this little box here, that's the center. The line is the center of the car. So I was off. grab the center of the box, move it over to center line, like so. You also get a really good view of what is going to show on the car. There's a little indent in the car right here, so that's going to wrap around it. But if you had it up here, the top of the end would be cut off. You see, that's the line on the paint. This is after the green line. That's a different part of the car. You're going to have to go find that. And the Ferrari's a little weird, so we might even have that problem with this other green line. We'll see. Might have to put it somewhere else. So stick it in there, turn off your wire. Let's go ahead and export it to the car. Wait for that to happen, and then there's always a good reason to do save. It's not in my documents folder. It's going to be out on my OneDrive, my Dropbox, iRacing, Vehicles, Ferrari, and I'm going to call this one Fallout. And spell it right, maybe, just maybe. So now it's saved. If computer crashes or whatever, I got it. Okay. And there is Nuka-Cola. And you can see the front looks pretty good, but I want to make that black. The side, massive fail, right? It cut in half on that. Looks really weird. That one's not as bad, but we're going to have to drop it down, and we're going to have to get it away from that louver to make it look right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that black line right there. We don't need to get rid of the black lines everywhere, but we definitely want to get rid of it down there. So what we'll do, let's go back to GIMP. The one on the front looked fine, except we forgot to change it to black. So let's go make sure Nuka Hood is highlighted. Layer, color, hue chroma, make it black, hit OK. Okay, that's done. File, export to car, take a peek. Yes, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. This I don't like. So I use the control key to zoom. It's a really good tool. And I use my mouse to scroll around. You can use the bars, and you can use the zoom tool, which is under view, zoom, and you can tell it to fit in the window or a couple other things. But hold down your control key, scroll your mouse. That lets you zoom in and out. Okay, so Nuka-Cola is too high. I don't really want to make it smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and take the line out. So let's button up the decals. We'll button up the turn-offs. We need to go back down to base paints. That's where my black stripes are, right? Black stripes. I can turn them all off. Not really sure why. I've already said I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. I'm going to turn off pre-made and turn off decals so I can work with just the paints. I'm on stripe 1. Going to make a box highlight. I'm going to kind of zoom in here. I'm going to select an area, not deselect an area. As you can see, the deselect is used a lot. Okay, as you can also tell, that completely failed because it's not an exact size stripe. So I can get most of it by moving that up. Edit, clear. And then turn off your select none. And I'll go after it again. This time I'm going to use the little hand tool. Draw a line there. Edit. Clear. Gone. Select none. Very important. Select none. Don't forget. Let's go to the other side of the car. I was going slow way, but we'll go fast way. Here's our line. We'll just use this tool since we need to use it anyway. And since this is actually curved, makes it easier just to use this freehand tool. I'm just putting dots every now and then to make it fix. And now it made the, zoom out, you can see it. It covers the whole line. Edit, clear. And all I did is I cleared it from the stripe layer. So those are gone. Sometimes you may want to make a duplicate of that layer in case you're like, oh, maybe I don't want to do that. Or you can sit there and undo it all. It'll let you undo the whole thing. You can. There's a undo. I think it's right here. Undo history, and you can go through and you can pick all that. You can redo and undo all this stuff. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and turn my pre-mades and my decals back on. Let's go ahead and export it out to the car. Oh, we need to move it. We forgot to move it. Back to decals. Passenger side. Let's move it down. And let's do what I should have done the first time. Put it right there. Turn on the wire. You see this stuff right here? Here's those louvers on the side. Now we're below them. So we're clean. Good spot. It's also above anything down on the base because there's a little carbon fiber piece that goes down here. It's one of these other pieces on the car. Turn off the wire. Go to this side. We put the top of the stripe even with the yellow. So now we're going to go to the driver's side. Hold down your control key. It'll keep it in line. You leave your control key off, you can move it all over here. Hold the control key, and it'll keep it in line with where it was. I had that right there, so the top of that black was even with the top of the yellow. All right, File, Export to Car. Let's go peek. Boom. It's a little low, but still fits everywhere, and I like it. Nuka-Cola on the side, ready to rock and roll. And on the front. One other thing I wanted to show you. This is basically it. From here, I would save it out to the car. I'm going to put a ton more decals on this thing, but it's the same process. Putting one decal on, putting 100 decals on, it's the same. Just make sure you know where they are. Label them good so you can find them. Because a year from now, you're going to go back to this car and say, hey, I want to change the color, but I like that design, or I want to change the logos. Easy to do if you know where to find them and what the layers are. All right. Let's see, one last thing I want to show you here is working with a logo that is not your friend, or a decal or some sticker you found on the internet that just isn't cooperating. Let's go, what's the company name? What's that company name out there on, I got to turn this on, hopefully it doesn't go nuts on me. Let's see. Vault-Tec. Let's do a Vault-Tec logo. Is it with a C? Yeah, I think that's it. Logo. Okay, here's Vault-Tec. Let's go. Well, you can tell it transparent, and that'll help. But if you don't do that, and say you're here, hopefully I'll find one that's, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's go here. Okay, that one's transparent. That one's transparent. Okay. Let's go, okay, that one's not transparent. So let's say this is the logo we want to use. Save image as. Stick it in our logos under Fallout. Save. It's a WebP. I think I can still see that. We go open as a layer. iRacing, logos, Fallout. Okay. All right. Where am I going to put this thing? Well, I'm telling you right now, nowhere. Because it's got the white background. It looks terrible. Unless I had a white car, happened to have a white car. It looks awful. So I can't use it like that. So undo move. Undo open. Doesn't do me any good. So instead of opening as a layer, just open it. Okay, iRacing. I'll show you how to fix it. Logos. Fallout. There's your document. It's going to open it as a new document. Now you're going to use your selection tool. Pick the white part. You can see what's white is selected, so it's the white part. Go to Layer, Transparency. Make sure this Add Alpha Channel is turned on. If it's not, turn it on. Transparency, Add Alpha Channel. That's going to allow the layer to have a transparent feature. Without it, it'll just go back to white. So right now the white's selected, edit, clear. Now it's transparent, select, none. And now I can take that logo and drag it over to my document, or my car, and now I can use it. Let's resize it, put it right where I want it. Now when you do these things, when you modify a logo, it's not going to be as clean as if you have a clean vector logo with a transparent background like we have for those Nuka-Cola logos. Okay, sometimes you'll have little edges of white. You can see it's not super crisp. They aren't. Once you get them into GIMP, they're all going to be bitmaps anyway, and you know, RGB bitmaps. So they're not going to be perfect, but there's a little hint of white in here every once in a while. So it didn't pull all the white out, but it did a pretty good job on that particular one. But you might get some that are just plain ugly. You can't use them. It happens. Sorry. Life is like is what it is. Let's call it Vault-Tec. Driver's side. Stick it right in the middle of the other ones, right? File, export to car, go to the car, driver's side. There you go. Vault-Tec, Nuka-Cola. So there's your sponsors on your car. And you can put them all over the place. You'll find there's some weird things like this little louver, this little air intake on the top on the hood of the car. You can figure out how to get things in there, but that little bar is in a special place. It's not right there. It's actually right here. It's this piece right here. This one here, that piece, is the bar that goes in the middle of that. So you can make it what you want. All right, how to find something. Last lesson of this video. I'll let you go nuts after that. You can have a good time. I'll even post the link for this particular part in the YouTube notes at the bottom. How do you find the mirrors? How do you find the front bumper? How do you find whatever you're looking for? There is a way. Don't lose hope. Go to Paintable Area right here. File and open as a layer this piece called Car Part Finder Map. It looks really stupid. It works. And I'll show you why. Boom. Your car is now a bunch of numbers. So it isn't obviously what you want, but I'll tell you what, you can find what you're looking for with this thing because it's a bunch of numbers. Export it to your car. There's my ugly looking car. But look what I can see. The mirror is black with green letters on green numbers on this side, and it's purple numbers with black on that side. So I'm looking for green 52 and purple 7, maybe. Go back. Green, it's a darker green, right? Where's my car? Yeah, that's a darker green, not a brighter green. So that's dark green, black background, dark green stripes. So there's multiple greens, but this is the green we're looking for, and it's 52. So look, it's going to be right there. There's your 52. Okay, and now find your raspberry right there, opposite. It's actually opposite on there. Turn off your part map finder, and here are your mirrors. You want proof? I believe this is going to be part of pre-mades. Yep. So you have to edit them in the pre-made area. So you can make a new layer up here called mirrors. And let's say we want the Nuka-Cola yellow mirrors on here. It just depends on where your layer is. Sometimes the car will not let you do this. There's some that just won't let you. So let's make a new area. We're highlighted on mirrors. We're going to make a little section going around the mirrors. Again down here. Or not. We're going to fill it in with our yellow from the car. Select none. Do it again. Get as close as you can. Zoom in if you need to. You don't need to be exact on this. Just get as close as you can. I'll show you why in 1 second. Go to your wire map and I'll show you why. The mirror is only the white part. The black part is not the mirror. So because this is really close to whatever that other part was, you can pull it in a little bit so you don't overlap. And we're going to turn off this. We're going to fill in, actually that didn't work, moving it didn't work, you'd have to do it again. Select none, grab it. You just know that that's inside, so stay inside the black and you'll be fine. But it was real tight down here on the bottom. You can check, I mean if you're going to be super particular, you can check by turning the wire back on. You got it, looks good. Make sure you're highlighted on your mirrors layer. Fill bucket, yellow, boom. There you go. Now, file, export to car. And we found the yellow mirrors. Bingo, you win. You can find those little mirror holders. You can find the little section inside here. You can find everything you want to find. You want to paint that little area right in here, the yellow, to highlight it? You can find it. Use your car part finder, and I'll put the link to the car part finder out there in the YouTube channel. Thanks a bunch for watching, everybody. This is Ron with Bigg Wizurd TV. Hope you had a great experience here. Send me a like, send me a note, send me something to let me know you want me to make you something else. I'll paint it if I can. Have a great day, all, and we'll see you on the next one.